Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Ling Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's stories. Nearly 24 mailing ballots were found near a highway in Santa Cruz. Postal inspectors are investigating the situation. New filings in the Paul Pelosi attack show changes in some key details surrounding who opened the door that night. We have more on what's new. And the police chief was laid to rest in Los Angeles. Members of the community paid their respects during a procession and a memorial service for the late officer. After 24 mailing ballots were found near a California highway, postal inspectors from Washington, D.C. have joined the investigation. NTD's David Lam spoke to the woman who found the discarded ballots to hear more.
A woman reported finding ballots in a ravine near Highway 17 in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Pictures show around 24 discarded ballots from Santa Clara County. Julie Ann Neiman was on her way to work last Thursday morning when she came across the ballots. She was taking a break from riding her motorcycle to warm up her hands.
And so I was just kind of warming myself up. And it is a place where people do tend to dump garbage there. And so the last few times I've been there, I noticed the same garbage, but there was new garbage, which kind of made me, I guess that's what kind of made me look.
Two of the people whose ballots were recovered told NBC Bay Area that they dropped off their ballots at a San Jose post office last weekend. Neiman told NTD she also found other mail and parcel torn open. The registered nurse speculates that someone must have taken time to look through the mail before tossing them near Highway 17.
I mean, that was my ballot that I spent a lot of time and energy going through it and voting and doing everything. That would be very upsetting to me to have my ballot just dumped on the side of the road.
She handed off the ballots to a USPS and elections investigator. The county registrar told NBC the county council will review election laws to see if the recovered ballots can still be included. David Lam, NTD News, California.
And we received an update from Michael Borja, spokesperson with the Santa Clara County Registrar of Voters. They're currently reviewing about 35 ballots from USPS. On the California elections law, they can count the ballots if they are postmarked or dated on or before the November 8th election day. He said, quote, "These ballots will need to undergo the same validation and signature verification processes as all other mail ballots before they can be counted. Tempered or open ballots cannot be counted, and the registrar will notify affected voters once they complete their review." New filings in the Paul Pelosi attack case show key details have changed. Authorities are now saying that Paul Pelosi did not open the door to his residence when the police officers arrived.
Following the October 28th attack on Paul Pelosi, authorities are now saying that he did not open the door to the residence when police officers arrived. According to a November 1st filing obtained by the Epoch Times, it states, quote, "Shortly after the initial call, officers Colby Wilmace and Kyle Cagney responded to the residence. When Officer Wilmace rang the doorbell, defendant directed Mr. Pelosi not to open the door, but Mr. Pelosi opened the door with his left hand." However, a recent November 9th indictment filed by U.S. Attorney Stephanie Hines and Special Agent in charge of the FBI's San Francisco office, Robert Tripp, the new filing says, quote, "The two officers who approached the door had their body-worn cameras activated. The two officers opened the door to see the foyer of the Pelosi residence, Mr. Pelosi wearing a long-sleeve shirt, DePape in shorts, running shoes, and a sweatshirt, and DePape and Mr. Pelosi jointly gripping a hammer." San Francisco District Attorney Brooke Jenkins told CNN earlier this month that she would not be releasing the footage. The FBI deferred all questions to Stephanie Hines. Both Hines and Jenkins' offices have not responded to any request for comment.
A memorial service was held to honor El Monte Police Department Chief Ben Lowry. NTD's Jackie Reels heard from event attendees on what Chief Lowry and the police department means to them.
The El Monte Police and law enforcement departments from across the Southland have gathered to pay respect to the years of service Chief Lowry dedicated to the El Monte Police Department. It took place on Monday, November 14th, 2022, with a procession from the Almonte Civic Center to the St. Gabriel Mission Playhouse, where a memorial for Chief Lowry was held. Family, friends, and colleagues recall memories of Chief Lowry.
His brothers and sisters in law enforcement share a lot of those qualities, and it just really makes me have so much confidence in law enforcement to know that there are people like Ben who are all around us, protecting us. And today was just really powerful to see all of these men and women stand up for him and celebrate his life and his commitment that he had to his family and to the community.
There were some in attendance who took the time to appreciate what law enforcement does for the community.
At our school district, we're provided community officers. When we have events, they show up. And I think for the kids, is able to connect with somebody that they see as authority, to know they're human beings. And usually our community officers are great because they're smiling, they're hanging out, they're giving high fives. And I think that's what it really means, is that you provide a role model for the kids, but also as what they do on a day-to-day basis, it provides safety and security for our community.
Chief Lowry passed away at the age of 45 from health issues last month. He was appointed the interim chief late last year and was officially appointed chief following the fatal shooting of Almonte Police Department Sergeant Michael Paredes and Officer Joseph Santana. Jackie Rios, NTD News, San Gabriel, California.
Comedian and former Tonight Show host Jay Leno was injured in a car fire. Leno has received treatment for his burns.
72-year-old Jay Leno was undergoing treatment on November 14th for burns on his face and hands. He sustained the injuries in a fire at his vintage car garage in Burbank, California. The cause and time of the fire were not immediately clear. The Grossman Burn Center issued a statement on Monday saying, quote, "Jay wants everyone to know that he is in stable condition." In a statement to Variety on Monday, Leno said, quote, "I've got some serious burns from a gasoline fire. I am okay, just need a week or two to get back on my feet."
Advertising revenues are down at YouTube, so they're upgrading their ad strategy. They're testing a feature with eligible creators in the U.S. that will allow them to tag products from their own stores. NTD's Sean Marshall has more details.
Yesterday, NTD Business reviewed TikTok possibly becoming an advertising giant. Today, we're looking into YouTube's latest move to increase its ad revenue. To keep up with TikTok's growth, YouTube is going to have to get more money into the hands of its creators. YouTube is bringing shopping features to its TikTok-like short-form video service as it looks to diversify its revenue stream squeezed by falling ad spending. Shopping through products recommended by creators is popular among YouTube's younger Gen Z users, who favor queryless, video-based interactions, meaning they don't want to actively search for products, according to YouTube General Manager Michael Martin. I spoke with Joe Carrison, Chief Marketing Officer at Circlet, for his perspective.
This gives them a new kind of avenue to even acquire new customers because it's a new platform. It's a new sort of way for, especially during the holidays, for products to be displayed via YouTube and purchased directly through there. So in that sense, I think it benefits Google and will start to increase ad revenues for them as they go on.
The report comes months after YouTube unveiled a new way for creators to make money on short-form videos, introducing advertising on its video feature shorts and giving video creators 45% of the revenue.
And for businesses, it gives them a brand new way to kind of interact with customers. And it, a lot of them are already using YouTube for other things, so they're very comfortable with that platform. And so it makes sense for them to sell products through there.
Ad sales on Alphabet-owned YouTube slipped to $7.07 billion in the third quarter from $7.2 billion a year earlier, as some advertisers pulled back on their ad spending in the face of an economic slowdown. Sean Marshall, NTD News.
We are going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we got for you when we come back. A coalition of attorney generals is in support for the Federal Trade Commission's efforts to block Meta from acquiring a virtual reality fitness company. California's AG is the latest to join the coalition. Farmers in the Central Valley are looking for ways to recharge their dry lands. One new project is looking to store floodwater in former tomato fields. And aging is something many people have tried reversing, and the biotech industry is looking for ways to do just that. Numerous startups are looking to science to crack the secret code to anti-aging. That and more on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm your host, Lang Zhang. The California Attorney General is the latest to join a coalition in support of FTC's effort to block Meta from acquiring a popular virtual reality fitness company. The coalition says Meta needs to build its own product to compete within the market.
Attorney General Rob Bonta is the latest to join a coalition of 25 attorneys general in submitting an amicus brief in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California. He supports the Federal Trade Commission's, or FTC, effort to block Meta from acquiring the popular virtual reality fitness company Within Unlimited. According to a statement released by Bonta, the acquisition would eliminate competition at a critical time. He says, time after time, we've seen Meta choose to gobble up its competitors instead of actually competing. As Attorney General, I'm committed to protecting an equal playing field for all, and I fully stand behind FTC's effort to protect competition in this burgeoning marketplace. Meta has invested more than $25 billion in virtual reality, or VR. The company has completed at least 17 VR-related acquisitions, but does not currently have its own VR-dedicated fitness app. Within Unlimited, which developed the app Supernatural, is a leader in the virtual reality fitness space. Meta announced plans to acquire the company for a reported $400 million this past July. The coalition highlighted in its brief that Meta's acquisition of Within Unlimited would substantially lessen competition and potentially create a monopoly in the VR fitness space. Bonta says that he's committed to providing a free, fair, and competitive marketplace for all.
In the Central Valley, farmers are trying to recharge their dry lands by holding floodwater in fields. The project aims to create a more sustainable and affordable way to supply water during the dry seasons.
Halfway between Sacramento and Los Angeles, the land along the Arroyo Pasajero Creek can get too dry some years or dangerously flooded in others. Amid the cycles of wet and dry, a coalition of local farmers and the nearby city of Huron are trying to turn former hemp and tomato fields into massive water reservoirs. Rainwater filters into the ground during wet years for use when it's drier.
So this is a mutual water company that was formed with a group of landowners that have interest in figuring out ways to recharge water when it's available because of flood and excess supplies in either the delta that's coming in surface supplies, or through the Arroyo Pasajero, which is the creek that surrounds these lands. When there's excess supplies, we want to put it onto the land and recharge it into the groundwater.
The new project, known as the Recharge System, turns unused fields into large ponds to hold water. This system allows water to filter into the porous rock and earth below, creating an aquifer rather than rushing to the sea.
As the floodwaters make their way into this ditch, big ditch that we have next to us, channels down, we pump it out into an open field and fill that field. Sometimes it's never even standing water, it's just going out into the field and naturally percolating down. That goes into the aquifer that we pump our groundwater from. So it doesn't get there in a day, but in a number of weeks and over time, it percolates down into that aquifer that we're extracting water from in times of drought like this.
Traditional water storage in the form of damming a river to create a reservoir is environmentally damaging, but increasing storms mean a lot of runoff is not being captured.
It's expensive, and Huron being one of the poorest cities in the state of California, one of the four, and to have such a high cost on something that's so critical for life is just mind-boggling. And I'm hoping that with the work that we're doing, We're able to reduce the cost, improve the quality. Of course, it's work that is not immediate.
The city is building a new well that will pump water from the aquifer during the dry years. This water will mix with water from the Federal Central Valley project.
It's a well that is designed to produce about 1,200 gallons per minute, which is more than what the city's consumption is even on a maximum day. It is about 1,300 feet deep. It's an effort that was funded by Department of Water Resources to help the city alleviate their the drought impact to their water supply.
Capturing runoff will also help protect the city of less than 7,000 people from catastrophic floods. The project near Huron is one of about 340 recharge systems that have been proposed by water agencies in California. That's enough to serve 4.4 million households for a year.
Aging is a phenomenon most people have tried to reverse, slow down, or hide. And scientists are hard at work trying to crack the secret. Numerous biotech startups are working in this field, trying to better understand how and why we age.
I-22. For these older residents of the San Francisco Bay Area, playing bingo and stretching is a good way to work both their body and mind.
If I knew science could develop something where I could keep my memory and physical ability till the day I died, I'd be happy with that one.
Science can't prevent us from aging just yet, but researchers are working on a cure. In California, there's a boom of anti-aging research in biotech. Age affects everyone in different ways. It can manifest itself as a weakened immune system, inflammations, cognitive and neurosensory decline, as well as bone and muscle loss.
Aging is not the same as rust accumulating on a car. It's not just breakdown, but rather there are processes that can be manipulated. You can tweak it. In certain ways, I interpret aging as a software error.
Horvath is one of many academics joining biotech companies to work in this field. One of the companies is BioAge, which says it uses computers to find the common denominator among blood and tissue samples from people who lived long and healthy lives.
So there's a protein called apelin that circulates in your blood. And we saw that people, middle-aged people, with higher levels of apelin in their blood were living longer, with better muscle function and better cognitive function as they aged. So we gave this drug to really old mice, and we showed that it could improve their muscle function.
BioAge's drug is currently undergoing human clinical trials. The company says apelin is a peptide, or small protein, that promotes muscle repair and regeneration.
What we're really addressing here is the gap between lifespan and health span. So lifespan is how long you live, health span is how long you're healthy, and right now in most developed countries, there's a 20-year gap.
California's quest for youth may be perceived as a luxury for the wealthy, but these biotech companies believe if anti-aging can be turned into an accessible treatment, it may prevent costly medical treatments that come with aging.
Now let's check in with NTD's Thomas Christian for today's Sports Roundup.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup. Former Los Angeles Dodgers All-Star Yasiel Puig has agreed to plead guilty to a federal charge of lying to law enforcement officials about sports bets the slugger placed with an illegal gambling operation, the Department of Justice said on Monday. Puig, who is 31 years old and now plays professionally in South Korea, has agreed to pay a fine of at least $55,000, the U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California said in a news release. Puig also agreed to make his initial appearance at U.S. District Court on Tuesday. According to his plea agreement, Puig began placing bets on sports events through a third party who worked on behalf of an illegal gambling business run by former minor league player Wayne Joseph Nix. After Puig paid off $200,000 $200,000 of his losses in 2019 and regained access to Knicks-controlled betting websites, he placed 899 additional bets on tennis, football, and basketball games from July to September 2019. In January 2022, federal investigators interviewed Puig in the presence of his lawyer, and despite being warned that lying to federal agents is a crime, Puig lied several times about his relationship with a third party and the $200,000 payment. Puig defected from Cuba in 2012 and signed a 7-year, $42 million contract with the Dodgers. He was named to the MLB All-Star team in 2014. The National Basketball Association has been sued by 3 longtime referees who say the league fired them this year after they refused to be vaccinated against COVID-19 over religious objections. In a complaint filed on Saturday in Manhattan Federal Court, Kenny Marr, Mark Iotti, and Jason Phillips said the league improperly forced compliance with its hygienic norms and wrongly concluded that their sincere religious objections fell short of its high standard against being vaccinated. The plaintiffs said the NBA's jabber-job ultimatum led to their suspensions for the 2021-22 season when the league required COVID vaccinations for all employees other than players. They said the league refused to reinstate them despite lifting the vaccine requirement for the 2022-23 season, consistent with the ban on vaccine mandates under its new 7-year collective bargaining agreement with referees. The complaint said, had the NBA not taken it upon itself to force faith-based conscientious objectors to adhere to secular norms, none of plaintiffs complained of injuries would have manifested. In sum, plaintiffs were persecuted. NTD reached out to the NBA for comment, but did not get an immediate response. Paul George scored a team-high 22 points, Reggie Jackson added 17, and visiting Los Angeles cruised to a victory over Houston. Jalen Green paced the Rockets with 25 points and 7 assists and added 6 rebounds. Kevin Porter Jr. chipped in 20 points and 7 rebounds, but missed 12 of his 18 shot attempts. The Rockets were undone by their lackadaisical ball security and poor shooting in the first half. The Clippers turned 11 Houston turnovers into 16 points just before the break. In the first half, the Clippers turned 11 Houston turnovers into 16 points, while the Rockets missed 10 of their 13 three-pointers. Clippers 122, Rockets 106. Jordan Poole poured in a season-high 36 points, 19 of them coming in a dominating first half as Golden State waltzed to a win over visiting San Antonio in San Francisco. Stephen Curry added 16 points for Golden State in 3 quarters of play, with Anthony Lamb hitting for 17, Jonathan Kuminga getting another 16, Moses Moody tallying 11, and Andrew Wiggins contributing 10. Keldon Johnson led the Spurs with 15 points, while Keita Bates-Diop and Jeremy Sohan tallied 12 apiece. Warriors 132, Spurs 95.
And that's all for sports.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage. You can find it at ntd.com/California-today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm Liang Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.